15 square miles, all of it hidden by tons of sand.
In any place here that you will dig, you will find a tomb. It's clear. If you look at the ground everywhere, you will find evidence of small mounds. If you have a mound that has some kind of artifacts like pottery, means there is something underneath. And therefore, if you look at this area, you just take your hand and the sand, you'll find an entrance of a tomb. Then you start the excavations, but the most important, when you excavate, you have to be careful because underneath there are mummies.
The cemetery was discovered by accident when a donkey stepped in a hole and revealed a tomb underneath. Inside the tomb were mummies, lots of them. Most of them were gilded and in remarkably good condition. Dr. Hawass authorized a more extensive search, and the golden mummies kept turning up. In the course of his work at the cemetery, Tariq has become a connoisseur of sand in all its subtle variations.
The sand hides mummies, and we have to fight the sand to find mummies. We can know from the sand, from the touch of the sand, if there is mummies under the sand or not. Because the mummy change the nature of the sand. If the sand little bit cold and dark, we know that there is a mummy under the sand. But if it is dry, soft, and hot, it means there is nothing under the sand. I like to wait until the sand tells me what is underneath.
Tariq has made a number of new discoveries, and Zahi Hawass is anxious to have a look. This tomb has obviously been entered in the past by thieves who did more than just steal things.
Some people entered inside and they tried to break all the heads of all the mummies. It's very strange. You can see all the mummies here are without heads. Look at this child mummy. It's without head. Behind me, look. The head was cut off. And that's also, the head was cut off. Then it seemed that someone, maybe in ancient times, or modern times, were looking for something inside the mummies.
A few of the mummies they come across remain intact, but most have been ripped apart without any regard for what the Egyptians regarded as sacred.
The Egyptians did come here. They cut this room in the rock. They mummified their bodies. They spent money on it. They thought that they will put his body and rest in a place like this to go to afterlife. And now someone will come and damage all of this. Broken bones, broken heads, broken mummies. Then that's something that personally disturbed me and made me very upset.
Yet even the destruction tells us something. Tariq believes it's possible that some of the headless mummies are the result of an ancient family feud, where even the bodies of children were decapitated in an act of revenge over some forgotten dispute. At Saqqara, the rocks continue to stream out of the tomb, and Zavi's team has made a new discovery. Just behind the small carving of Ramses, and attached to it, they find another statue. Towering above the tiny pharaoh is the life-size head of a cow, the goddess Hathor. And Zevi couldn't be more delighted.
He asked me if the eyes of the cow are green or blue. I say they are just like your eyes, beautiful. It's a bit angry now.
In one of her many guises, Hathor was a protector of the dead, who was there to guarantee Nechowemus a safe passage through the afterlife. Her presence in the tomb confirms Zevi's belief that the mysterious Nechowemus had played a major political role during the great pharaoh's reign. He had been rewarded with a sumptuous burial, presided over by Hathor and Ramses. But Zevi still didn't know what Nechowemus had done to deserve it.
I would like to find more inscriptions. I want to know exactly who was Nechowemus. Till now, we know he was somebody who could afford this kind of thing, but we don't know more.
In the search for more clues about Nechowemus's identity, Zevi travels to the ancient Egyptian capital of Thebes. Today, it's called Luxor, and it's filled with monuments built by Ramses to celebrate himself. So it's possible Nechowemus is mentioned somewhere. The walls still echo with Ramses' accomplishments, especially his military victories.
It was always battles, of wars, of fights. It's history, it's normal history of mankind.
Every war requires an enemy, and when Ramses became pharaoh, Egypt's greatest adversary was the Hittite Empire to the north. The young Ramses decided to confront the Hittites on their own turf. He led an army of about 20,000 men north and met the enemy outside the city of Kadesh. It is one of the first battles in history for which detailed accounts survive. Hittite spies led the Egyptians into an ambush. Ramses and a few hundred of his men were separated from the rest of the army and pinned down near the Orontes River. It was a desperate position until a reserve division of Egyptian foot soldiers launched a counterattack, driving the enemy into the river and rescuing their pharaoh. Ramses returned to Egypt and immediately claimed a great victory.